Shalawam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakah Kwadash. Next, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered across the four corners of the earth. I'm your brother Kalak out of the Great Millstone Atlanta camp, coming to you again with another Lord willing edifying lesson. And in this lesson, we will be going over the beast and showing you how it goes back to the serpent in the garden. Now, the beast is the Roman Empire, which has been revived and is known today as NATO and the EU. Essentially, the so-called white man Esau's power structure. That is who the Lord is coming back to take down. And it does go back, or he does go back, to the serpent in the garden. This is Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So this is speaking of the Lord Yahushai's return, and he will be taking down this great dragon, which is the beast, okay? NATO in the EU, or the Esau's power structure. All right, and Esau is also known as the devil and Satan, because there is the spiritual demon Satan, but you also have the physical counterpart of Satan. So now we're going to get into how this ties in to the serpent all the way back in the garden. This is Genesis chapter 3:14. And the Lord Yahweh said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all of the days of thy life. Now this is when the Lord cursed the serpent. The serpent was a man, not an actual snake. The serpent was a wicked man who gave to Eve a wicked philosophy, which she took back to Adam and caused them to go off from the ways that the Lord gave them. Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. So basically, the Lord created two different seeds that would go out into the earth, a righteous and a wicked. Okay, so Adam would go on to have Cain and Abel. All right, and as we're going to get into, Cain was the seed of the serpent, and Abel was the seed of the woman. Genesis 4:8. And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. So this is when Cain's sacrifice was rejected, and he grew jealous of Abel and killed him. All right, now keep record of this brotherly hatred, because this is eventually going to seep into Jacob and Esau. Now, Cain is translated from the Hebrew word kwayan, which means weapon, or as it says here, spear. Keep note of that also. This is 1 John 3:12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous. So this is just confirming that Cain was of that wicked one. He was that wicked seed, or the seed of the serpent. Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For Yahweh, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. So Seth replaced Abel as the righteous seed, or the seed of the woman. Genesis 4:26. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord Yahweh. So Seth is who continued the righteous legacy, or that righteous seed line, because Seth would eventually lead down to Noah, who was preserved from the flood. Now, this is when Cain was marked. This is Genesis 4 and 14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. So this is basically Cain complaining to the Lord, saying, everybody's going to kill me because of what I did. Genesis 4 and 15. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord Yahweh set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So basically, the Lord put a mark on Cain that would temporarily spare him from judgment. The Lord essentially allowed this wicked seed line to continue on for the sake of the movie. And what this mark is leprosy. But it did not come to pass until Cain was reincarnated as Esau. And we're going to get into that here shortly. Now, as we know, after the flood, the only people that survived were Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. And so basically that means the descendants of Cain were killed off. But as we're going to show you here, Cain was reincarnated as Esau. Genesis 25:23. And the Lord Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red, all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So even in the womb, Jacob and Esau were fighting. And it was because Jacob and Esau would come out to be 2 great nations, as we are to this day. Esau is the so-called white man, and Jacob are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as you Israelite foreigners that may look like the other heathen nations, but according to the seed of your forefathers, you trace back to Jacob. Not every so-called white person is an Edomite. There are some so-called white people that are actually Israelites through the seed of their forefathers. And this also works the other way. You have so-called black people out there that are actually Edomites. But for the most part, okay, Esau is the so-called white man, and Jacob are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now note here in verse 25 that Esau came out red all over. Now here it makes mention of his color because during this time, everyone on the earth had pigmentation. But Esau came out red because his blood showed through his skin. And that's why they called his name Esau, which in the Hebrew is Ishashwa, meaning wasted away. And this was the mark that was placed on Cain. Now, after Jacob took Esau's birthright, Esau came crying to Isaac, basically saying, is there a blessing for me also? And this was the blessing that Isaac gave to Esau. Genesis 27:40. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So essentially, Isaac blessed Esau with temporary world rulership, because Jacob would have eternal world rulership. But here, Isaac is saying that you're going to get world rulership and you're going to live by the sword, okay, when it's your time to rule. And now we can reflect on how Cain's name in the Hebrew is Qayan, which means weapon, and here Esau was blessed with the sword. Genesis 27:41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So this is that brotherly hatred being revived. From Cain and Abel, now to Jacob and Esau. This is Malachi 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever. So here, Esau is called the border of wickedness. And we remember back in 1 John 3:12 that Cain is known as that wicked one. Now this mark that was placed on Cain and was manifested in Esau would eventually be revealed. And that's what's happening right now. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him, whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Now this is speaking of the revealing of the wicked, which is Esau. Okay, and it says even him, letting you know it's a man coming after the working of Satan. This is Satan's physical counterpart on the earth. Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. So the Lord is now exposing the mark for what it is. It's leprosy. For a period of time, the Lord allowed Esau to hide behind the color white. But now he is being exposed. This is Revelation 12:3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. Now this red dragon is the Roman Empire, which has been revived and is known today as NATO and the EU. And that red dragon is also the beast. Revelation 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Then skipping down to verse 3, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. This is the revival of Rome. We are living in it right now. And this is the system that the Lord is coming back to take down. Which brings you back to Revelation 12:9. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So Lord willing, this video was edifying and straight to the point. I'm going to end it by giving all praises to the Heavenly Father Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakha Kwadash. Once again, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalawam.